Yes, get that right, Rangers. Hello and welcome to the Boys in the Bus podcast. This is your bus home from Ibrox, where it was Rangers nil, Celtic nil, and Celtic went on to win emphatically on penalty kicks. It was never in doubt, given how brilliant our penalty kicks tend to be. I'm joined by Phil. How are you, mate?
Just about hanging in there. Second Sunday in a row. I'm absolutely battered and bruised watching Celtic, but somehow we keep finding a way. Martin O'Neill sprinkling his magic dust on this team and just finding a way to get us over the line. And there is still, as incredible as it sounds, Terry, with the absolute manic season we've had, there is still a potential double on the table for Celtic, which is insane to think. But here we are, and we're here to talk about it. And quite a lot to get into with this game today.
Yeah, and probably still stuff going on that we know nothing about. Celtic are through into the draw for the semi-final, which currently contains Falkirk and Dunfermline. Am I right?
That's correct. And are playing Partick Thistle later in the final.
Dunfermline beat Aberdeen, didn't they?
They did 3-0. They beat them.
Yeah.
Emphatically.
And it's St Mirren against Thistle tonight. So we're in the hat for that. And we're still in the hunt for the league title with 9 games to go. Every game now, Phil, is just an absolute roller coaster, and this one was no different. As always, if you enjoyed the pod, give us a like, give us a share, smash that notification bell, and help us get out there to as many like-minded people as possible. I heard you say, Phil, on Friday night we're not kicking the arse off the 2000. We'll have 2 landmarks still there, the 1888 and the 1967, that can be hit by
1,700 something just now. So yeah, 1888 would be the next one, I suppose.
Closing in on 2000. So help us out there if you enjoy what we do. Phil, we'll start with the lineup. If I can find it in here, make sure I've got the right one. There was a Willie Won't-He with Sinisalo and Schmeichel. O'Neill had made a point of saying that Schmeichel would be back in contention for this game. The fact that he doesn't appear at all, I don't know. There's still something there that just there's more than meets the eye for me. But who cares? We've got the right man between the sticks. Arthur kept his place. I suppose the question then was around Trusty being available for this game. Would you bring him back? If so, who did he play beside? We didn't know we were going to be without Kieran Tierney at left back, and we didn't know that Sriracha, even though available, wouldn't be coming in for Tierney. Probably more legs in that one as well. So Scales played left back. Hitati was going to start. Negron was going to start. However, the main thing to come out of the lineup was Luke McCown starts. No Callum McGregor on the bench. Yang and Taneki, 2 very, very lucky boys to start today in my book, and both will be very lucky if they start next week again. Dyson Maeda, for me, that was the way he was going to go. Given Rangers centre-back pairing, if it was whatever combination it was going to be of Suter, Fernandez and Jiga, they're all big, strong lads. And I think they would prefer to be up against the likes of Fanchara and just go for take their chances physically with him rather than have Maeda buzzing about, causing them trouble. So that was the striker I expected to go with there. But the big omissions, obviously, Tierney and Callum McGregor. And just before I bring you in on getting your thoughts on that, just looking at that starting lineup and thinking on terms of bigger picture, you're going into this game missing Callum McGregor, Kieran Tierney, Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Arnie Engels, and Jota out of what would be your starting lineup. That's the guts of a first team.
That's insane.
Yeah. It is frightening.
They somehow found a way to get it done. I'm the exact same as you in terms of looking at that lineup. A lot of the same things stood out about me. I did not expect Benjamin Arthur to keep his place. Obviously, on Wednesday night, we did the post-match Aberdeen game. I thought he was decent. You had a few things to pick out, but I genuinely thought, okay, he's came in, he's done a job. He was asked at the last minute to come in. We got through it. He'll now step back onto the bench. So I was quite surprised to see him. And then, the left-back situation, Tierney, I knew it was sort of 50-50 with him. That was a horrible challenge on Wednesday night. But yeah, the Sriracha one, we'll obviously get into talking about that during the game because that was puzzling. Now, don't get me wrong, I thought William Scales actually had a pretty good game, all things considered. Rangers, again, I'm not concerned about their tactics really, but they didn't seem to want to attack down that side. They seemed to be overloading on Araujo's side, much like they did last week. And again, if you're Danny Rowe and we're led to believe by the media what a superstar manager he is and what a great tactician he is, well, surely you would look at the unnatural left back playing for us and you would say, should probably target that side, but they didn't really. So Bill Scales dealt with it pretty well. And yeah, the McGregor one, he kept that one quiet because obviously he was asked on the press conference for the game on Friday, about any injury issues. But you said to me before we came on, he just kept it very vague and says we've got a few bruises. McGregor was obviously one of them because when he was asked before the game by Connie McLaughlin on Premier Sport, she also asked him about that directly, and he said, yeah, he was feeling a little problem with his thigh at full time on Wednesday night against Aberdeen, so that's obviously why he's not played. And Luke McCown coming in, a bit of a dilemma where on midfield it always feels like whoever we seem to play, whatever combination, they don't really have a great game. And yeah, McCown, so we'll get into the guts of the performance today, but He's said a lot of things, McCown, publicly, but doesn't seem to back them up when he plays because he was terrible at times today. So it was a good thing we did pull him off when we did. But yeah, that was just a throw together team as best we could. I've said that a few times now on the show. It is about square pegs, round holes, and all that stuff. Just putting a elastoplast on it to get through to the end of the season, and that lineup, as much of a makeshift job it was, it done the job in the end, and maybe continue on.
I felt it was very lightweight. Phil, those three in the middle. Now McGregor's not a big guy, but he's your captain physically. He's not massive, and McCown for him in terms of size and stature, whatever. There's no difference. But if you look, McCown, Hatate, Negrin, Yang, Taneke, very, very lightweight, not an awful lot of physical presence, and you, in comparison to the Rangers team, massive players. Sterling at right back, Jiga, big lad. Although I'm not too bothered whether either Suter or him play. I think there's a mistake in both of those guys. Then you've the big lad Fernandez. I thought he looked very, very good today, but absolute man mountain. And they've gone for a real physical approach in midfield with Diamande and Raskin. Diamande, he's booked in 2 minutes. I think you could say as well things were spilling over from the week before because Araujo was getting roughed up. He was getting, there was obviously some kind of game plan where they were going to try and get pick on him and try and get him agitated and potentially try and get him sent off. The first big moment of the game, Phil, came on the 6th minute with cries for a penalty kick. Have to say my heart was in my mouth. On watching it live, I thought this is going to be a pen. But thankfully, the referee got to the referee on the pitch. Fair play to him. He made the right decision, and there was no need for VAR to get involved. When you watch it back, it does hit Trusty. It hits him really high on his right arm, which is in by his side. But I think when you watch it live, it looks as if it hits the other hand, and the other hand is way outstretched. If it hit the other hand, absolute stoneweller, but it didn't. But even though you know it's the right decision, you're still nervy that it's going to be given.
100% in real time. Yeah, right away, my heart was in my mouth. I was like, oh no, this did it look like it because you see the arm stretched out, but not in the replay. It does hit his arm, which is in his body like that when he's dived in. But yeah, his left arm's obviously extended. Thankfully, he didn't hit that one because it'd be a penalty all day. Nothing he can do about that from that close range. And he slid in. I'd say his arm is in natural position. We want to talk about natural positions and stuff like that. That was the fallout last week about Dujon Sterling's penalty. Well, when he jumps, and obviously he's got his arm out like that. Yeah. So it's in this case, Trusty slid in. And yeah, there's nothing you can do about it, and it's hit him there. So yeah, we got away. We obviously survived that wee scare. But just on Trusty in general, and obviously we'll go into the games that goes on. But my word, he was imperious tonight. Sorry, this afternoon reminded me of those European performances of the last 2 seasons where we've had our backs to the wall. There's been a lot of high balls getting just chipped into our area, and he just gets up and heads them away, and a few brilliant blocks as well, just putting himself on the line. A couple of centre backs did it, and Dean Murray, but Trusty was excellent today. And yeah, he was imperious at the back, and that's what we need more of, because the next 9 games it is that we've got, it's obviously the Scottish Cup on the line, but yeah, we need him playing like that every game, because yeah, he was a rock today at the back.
Yeah, I do need to concede he's going to have to do a lot more to win a place in my heart going forward. But
Yeah.
I have to concede he was good today, and that kind of game we've said it plenty of times where there's lots of balls raining in on our penalty area. That suits him. He stepped up as well in the shootout and took a really confident penalty. I just can't help feel, Phil, and I'm hoping wrong, but we may look back at the end of this season and those 2 moments of madness, those 2 red cards, the points that were shipped with those 2. You know, if he doesn't get the red card against Hearts and we see that game out 2-1, and he doesn't get sent off against Hibs, and we somehow get that one over the line, there's a massive swing, and we're sitting top. Do you know what I mean? And I'll find it hard to forgive him totally, but definitely today, really solid performance. He did have my heart in my mouth around about the 20th minute. I'm not sure quite what he did, but I made a note that he had me nervy, and the Derry had a chance. A couple of slack moments in around then, but what I was enthused about was Sinsalo commanding his box, and some of it,
Yes.
it wasn't flashy stuff, Phil. It wasn't flashy. It was just doing what you don't really see goalkeepers doing anymore. You don't see them coming and taking crosses. It's always punches. But I felt his decision making was really good today. He picked the right ones to go and catch, and he picked the right ones to go and punch. And I'm really impressed with him. I love his temperament. I loved his shithousery during the penalties. You could actually hear him. You could hear him shouting at the taker. He, without having to do anything, really top notch, he just feels like a safe goalkeeper.
He does, and whenever he does anything positive, the first thing that always comes to my head is, would Schmeichel be able to do that? Because there was a moment today where it was in the second half, and I think it came from Liam Scales just playing a blind pass from the left, and he's caught Benjamin Arthur's not been expecting it, and it's basically he's miscontrolled and it's rolled past him. And I want to say Chimiti was not totally in on goal, but he had a bit of space to run into, and he's chased that ball down. And Sinisalo was so quick off his line to get there and slide tackle it essentially and get it away. And I'm like, yeah, Schmeichel wouldn't have been off his line that quickly there for that one. So he's got obviously that agility to him. But the coming claiming across is just what a refreshing change it is. Just because again, we've seen it so many times with Schmeichel where he just doesn't command his area that well anymore. But no, Sinisalo, I like him. I don't think there's any risk in playing him from now to the end of the season. Whether Martin O'Neill will do that, it's another story. But I think he's shown enough to, at this stage, I think we need to stick with him. And again today, he was confident. It's interesting with the penalty shootout because I'm never confident with Celtic in penalties because we have got an abysmal record. I even said on Friday night at the start of the show, I said, hopefully it doesn't go to penalties because Jesus Christ, we've not got much chance here. But as the game was going on, I had this thing where I was like, I'm confident in Sinisalo actually saving a penalty or two. I'm not confident in us scoring. But in the end, he didn't have to save any, and we actually scored all 4 of them anyway. But we'll get on to that later on. But he does radiate a confidence about him. Like, yeah, he just does the simple things. And I guess we've just been so starved in the last few months of a goalkeeper just doing the simple things and keeping the ball out the net and coming and claiming crosses that when he does it, you're just like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. What a refreshing change to have a goalkeeper that actually just keeps the ball out the net.
Phil, I don't see a way O'Neill can go back to Schmeichel now. I just don't see how he can. Can you imagine if he changes it next Sunday, for example, and Schmeichel drops a howler? Now, I get it. Sinisalo could drop a howler at any stage as well, but he hasn't done, and he doesn't look like doing so. And if O'Neill was to go back to Schmeichel at this stage and something goes wrong, I just that's very much on the manager then if he was to go down that route. And see the 2 penalties that Rangers actually did score. You could argue Sinisalo should have saved both of them. He was really close. The first one he should have got. Yeah, the first one I think he should have got, and the second one he was very close to getting. But anyway, we'll get to penalties later on. I thought we'd scored, Phil. Without doing an awful lot in that first half. it looked as if Celtic had laid a sucker punch, a corner from Luke McCowan. It was actually another poor corner from Luke McCowan.
It was.
Struggling to get by the first man, but the ball goes back out to him again. He opens up a wider angle and crosses it in. And just as he did the other night, Liam Scales gets a flick on at the near post. And this time it's Dyson Maida with a diving header that puts the ball into the net. Celtic are 1-up, smash and grab job at that stage, you're thinking, but no, we're hauled back for a VAR decision. I have to be honest, I've not seen any angle yet that tells me he was definitely off, but much so in the way of the one that we got on Wednesday night. If they're telling me it's offside, then it's offside, and that's the way it is. But I haven't seen an angle that tells me it was off.
It was a shock to me that it was Scales in the first place, because again, when they're reviewing it, I'm like, there's nothing to review. Like, Maeda's on the whole time, and I'm watching the replay. I'm like, keep my eye on Maeda, and I'm like, once he stepped out, I didn't even realise it was Scales at first until the commentator said it. Says, "Oh, it's going to be pulled back for an offside on Scales," and when you do see it.
Yeah,
he is coming back from an offside position. Ironically enough, because of the trajectory that ball's taken, see if he doesn't get a touch on that, see if that just goes straight through to Maeda. And I don't know if it would have found its way through to Maeda at the same angle, but if it didn't, if Scales doesn't touch that, then I guess it would have been allowed. But because he has actively flicked it on, he's interfering in play, he's in the attacking phase of play, and yeah, it's disallowed. So but at that point in time, I'm like, okay, we've started. Not as bad as last week, because the first 25 minutes last week was obviously horrific and we were 2-0 down. This time, the first 25 minutes of the game, we've been under pressure, but they haven't really had any cutting-edge chances. It's been mostly a midfield battle where they're sort of overrunning us, but we're just standing resolute. But then we start to get a wee hold of the game for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we also get that goal. So at that point, obviously we've had it disallowed, but I think the commentator even said, he says it'll be interesting to see how the two teams react to that. As in, will Rangers get a lift, as in they'll be like, right, that was a scare, we need to get our act together, or will Celtic now take encouragement for that? And I was leaning towards the latter, thinking we've not played great so far, but we've shown just one half decent chance and we'll score. So I was fully expecting that we'll continue, we'll take hold of the game, we'll just play at our pace. But no, that was far from the case at all, because I think that was like the only real sniff that we got of a goal until probably late on in the second half. We might have got a wee half chance, or an extra time a wee half chance. But yeah, we really went into our shells after that, when we should have been looking to take a bit of encouragement from it.
Yeah, Phil, I think we're obviously ecstatic that we've won the game, and we're going to really focus on the positives from that. But if I think about how I felt during the game, pretty much from that moment where that goal was disallowed onwards, I genuinely felt we were second best, and I felt that our only real opportunity to win in the game was probably to take it to the lottery of penalties. I felt that from that stage. I thought we were second best for a lot of the game, and there is some mitigation against that, because that was our fourth game in 10 days. Rangers have only had the 2 games to get themselves prepared for. Missing all that list of players that we've talked about, albeit we've been missing some of those for virtually the whole season. Terry,
look at the headlines in the last 2 weeks in the run up to this little block of fixtures, these 4 games in 10 days. All the negative headlines, because we also get done in the home game with Stuttgart, so people thought it was going to be a cricket score. We went out to Germany for the second leg. We came through that. We are pride restoring win. We then go to Ibrox, have a terrible first half, but we come back in the second half to keep ourselves in the title race. We go up to Aberdeen, have a bit of a slog, but we find a way to win it. And then today, we've done it. We've came through these 4 games that everyone thought, this is the end of Celtic season coming up here. It's far from that. It's quite the opposite now. Yeah,
absolutely. And the words that you used there, actually, I'll quote the manager from his post-match. He just said, we found a way. We found a way. I think it was him. It might have been one of the players, actually. I'm not sure. It was either the manager or one of the players. Said we found a way to get it done. There were a couple of nervy moments before halftime. There was a really good save from Sinisalo, which transpires the player was offside. Tanetke, there was one where he gave possession away really poorly, and within seconds there was an attack on our goal. I thought we were getting very, very little from Taneke, very, very little from Yang, definitely in an attacking sense. Yang was probably working a little bit harder defensively than Taneke, but I thought both of those, yet again, when they get to start the game, we just weren't getting enough out of them. So got through the halftime, relatively happy that we were still well in the game. Then start the second half, slack play from Arthur. Sinisalo saves the day again. Then there was that period where Rangers seemed to really up the tempo at the start of the second half, but everything seemed to just be blocked by Trusty. Then there was that scramble moment in the goal where I've absolutely no idea what was happening, but I was just expecting the ball to end up in our net. But
is that the one with Taneke? Wasn't he really expecting it? And he was standing at the back post, and it just sort of came to him. It bounced off about 3 Rangers players sent to him, and he didn't even clear it that quickly. There was a Rangers player right on him, and it's one of those just get it clear. And I think he just casually passed it out the box, and it's like, mate, come on, calm down here, heart in the mouth, like just get clear your lines. But yeah, that was the one Taneke just was there at the right place, because that play would have fell in at the back post.
Phil, there was in a couple of moments which I just want to touch on them, probably just for something to talk about. But was it Romans you call the left back? Romans, yeah, left back guy. He then had a bit of a kick action on a Celtic player who was on the ground, and they never ever went back to look at it really. But if that was shown on a VAR replay in slow motion and he's swinging a kick at a player who's flat on the ground, you could put any narrative around that you want. And then you had the next one that came up with Trusty and Chermiti, where you heard the roar, you knew something had happened off the ball.
Yeah.
Trusty was rolling about, absolutely embarrassing, totally embarrassing. I do not want my centre half rolling about pretending that he's hurt by that contact. But again, my mind just did go back to the Trusty one against Hibs, where he ends up getting a red card. And you look at Chermiti, who does make an action with his fist. He was trying to think to punch the ball, but he does land a punch on the Celtic player. And at that point, I'm going, is that really any different than the one that Trusty gets sent off against Hibs? Really?
Oh, there's a lot of some. Again, where's the consistency? That's all we ask when we talk about the refereeing. And there's an argument there. There was also another moment with Romans as well, but him and Araujo had a wee squaring up moment. They were obviously trying to get to Araujo, I think, and try to provoke him, and he was taking the bait really. But yeah, they had a few shit houses there. But the Chermiti and Trusty thing, it originated from at the start. We talked about the handball, because right after it, Chermiti's down on the ground. Also, I think he also get caught as well with the slide, and Trusty goes over and says something to him as he's lying on the ground, and then later on there's a bit afters obviously between they two, which is the incident you're talking about. So the two of them were at it all game. But yeah, I did think Trusty did ham it up a wee bit there, and it's like, no, don't do that, man. Don't be play acting in that sense, because it didn't look to be too much in it. But there is a case for the action itself, because we saw Trusty getting sent off for it. But
don't get me wrong. I'm not calling for a red card for that. All I'm saying is, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And if that gets pulled back and analysed and slowed down, and a referee put in front of it with some guy in his ear willing him to make the decision, then you can make whatever story you want out of those moments. And also, again, later, Sterling heavy tackle on Daisan. He's already in the do you know what I mean? But anyway,
that one that Gabby Boys mentioned, Raskin, when he grabbed Araujo by the collar, and Don Roberts is standing right between them, and they're just like,
it was just little things that, and I don't want to make it about the referee and stuff, because I actually thought I didn't think he was perfect, but I thought he didn't do too bad. Don Robertson today, I thought that one in the second minute, the commentators were saying, you're better letting that go at that stage, because you've set your stall out. No, if there's a foul in the first minute and it's a booking, you book him. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's the first minute or
I mean, if Diamondi goes in with the studs showing, because he's lucky that he doesn't do that. He does slide in and it's really aggressive, but if the studs are showing there's a case for it to be a red card in the first couple of minutes, regardless of the time when it happens. If it happens in the first minute or the last minute, that one in particular was a booking. By that whole narrative, And again, it comes from guys who've played in the fixture. You know, you get Neil Lennon on commentary and Alan Hutton, who were obviously susceptible to a wee booking and red card here and there. It's like, no, man, you can't slide in recklessly like that. It's a booking. It was the right decision by Don Robertson to book Diamande there.
Yeah, I thought those two were quite an easy listen in the commentary because they obviously have their preferred sides, but both of them I thought were quite balanced and weren't just like two fans watching the game. Like, do you know what I mean? We'd made substitutions by in around this period. The Ox came on for the ineffective Taneke. Fanchara came on for McCowan. And then Martin did what he did the other night. He then stopped the play a couple of minutes later to make another sub. Now, it makes a wee bit more sense today because I felt we were up against it and he's maybe just trying to break up any kind of momentum that Rangers had. And that's why you didn't make them at the same time. But a bit of a strange one then. Dane Murray comes on for Arthur. And it just felt like an odd one in a game where you've only got so many subs you're allowed to make. Is it simply because the young lad hasn't had an awful lot in 90 minutes? Was he only going to play an hour? Was there a knock or something? Just a little bit of confusion. Although I think over this next 9 games, well, hopefully it's 11 because hopefully we get to the cup final. We're in the semi-final, so we've got 11 games left in the season. I think we'll need both these young lads. We'll need Murray and we'll need Arthur as well. So maybe it's just about getting minutes into the legs. Murray did okay when he came on. He'd won.
He did well. He did.
Well, does he wear football boots or does he play in skis? Because I've never seen anybody. Every single match he's played, he's sliced the ball. And his first one, I think today, he sliced it again. He needs to get a pair of proper boots or something.
He's using those, what they call the blade studs rather than actual proper screw-in studs. It's blades that they play in. Yeah, he does slide all over the place. But I will say this, see that counter-attack they had in like the 93rd minute, and is it Chukwueze or something like that, the number 42 that came on for them, and he's pulling the trigger. He's about to shoot there. Dane Murray puts himself on the line and cops a wee injury as well, but I thought he was great when he came on. He's not the answer long term. He's had plenty of clangers. He should not be, sticking around next season. He's again just another elastoplast at this point in the season. But fair play to him. After the clangers he's had at Tynecastle and those intense atmospheres, what happened last week at Ibrox? It came on. I suppose many fans were probably dreading it, but no, he stood up again today. I thought he was great when he came on and did his job, cleared his lines. Much like Trusty, you keep putting high balls into the box. Guys like Dane Murray and him eat it up all day. And Rangers were reverting to that at one point where it was just launch balls into the box and we were just heading them away one after the other. But I thought he did a fine job. The thing that's standing out though as to why it's unusual, Terry, is because Liam Scales was playing in his wrong position and we had a left back on the bench. And the whole game, I'm like, surely it's a matter of time before Sirachi comes on. Surely Scales cannot stay out there. Scales will go into the middle with Trusty and it'll be Arthur gets sacrificed and Sirachi will come on. So when he did that, and then obviously we get to extra time and we're allowed one more sub and it's still Wesley Sirachi. It does beg questions because that's one that he wasn't asked about in any way at all during the... No, there has to have been a wee risk there.
As you say, if you're bringing Arthur off, you're moving Scales across and you're bringing on Sirachi. You're bringing Sirachi on. The fact he never brought him on, there has to be an issue with him. Absolutely has to be an issue.
Must be one of the ones that has a bump and a knock he was talking about on Wednesday, because it could be a case of with Tierney. It could be worse than going for a few weeks. If Sirachi is carrying a wee knock today, comes on and aggravates it, we could be without a natural left back for a few weeks. And obviously we've got an intense run of games coming. Although crucially now, we don't have a midweek game for a while. There's only one more midweek game to go, and it won't be until the post-split fixture. So this could be huge for us as well at the right time that we've got away from midweek games too. But the Sirachi one had puzzled a lot of people, and that's going to make the substitutions look weirder because you had one guy playing out of position and a place he's not too comfortable. But as I said earlier on, Scales did all right. He did fine for what he had to do today, so I can't fault him.
And Phil, what you've got now over those run of those 4 really difficult away games, you've got plenty of minutes in the legs of both Dane Murray and Benjamin Arthur. And yes, they both haven't been foot perfect in those games, but the experience in powder keg environments, that will stand them instead if they're needed in this run-in, which undoubtedly they will be. One of them's going to have to play next week against Motherwell. And I mean, whenever Trusty comes back in again, I mean, you said that Dane Murray's not the answer and Benjamin Arthur's not the answer. Trusty and Scales aren't the answer either. But
No,
I know. We are where we are. Yang was still on at this stage. He was still working hard, but he was offering nothing going forward. And then in the 78th minute, Celtic were reduced to 10 men whenever Martin O'Neill brought off Dyson Maida and replaced him with Joel Mvuka. Also brought on Forrest for Yang, but we had the rest of the game then to play with 10 men. What on earth is the story with this guy? He is, if ever there was a player in the wrong movie, it's him. He's the last time I've seen something that resembled what I've seen with him is the day Graham Souness brought on the guy the fraudster that tricked him into thinking he was
Ali Dia. Ali Dia played for Southampton.
And again, it's a question I've asked quite a lot, Phil. Players are coming from way out in the cold to then getting minutes. You Bernardo again today after disappearing. But Mvuka, my goodness, Neil Lennon used the word erratic. He I don't know what has happened on training during the week where Martin feels he's a better option than whoever was left on the bench.
I fell at my seat when it cut to the bench because like Celtic are making another double substitution, and just as he's saying the names of the players that cut to the bench, it was James Forrest standing next to Mvuka, and I'm like, that is the last person I was expecting to see. The way Martin O'Neill has spoke about him, it's like he won't play another minute for us. And then today to come into that environment and just looked way off the pace and just out of sort essentially. But we said it on Wednesday night, didn't we? We were talking about the whole Dane Murray having to step out at the last minute. It wasn't the fact that Benjamin Arthur came in that was the weirdest part about the team sheet on Wednesday night. It was the lesser seen Joel Mvuka coming onto the bench because that was like, can't believe that. But today he comes on and we weren't getting much from our wingers today, and with him it was just like for like. You just nothing was coming from him at all. Erratic. That's probably the most polite way to put it because it's scary to think, Terry, and as much as we criticise the hierarchy at the club, and rightfully so, they do deserve a lot of criticism for how they handle transfer windows. There was a chance we were going to be signing him full time for £3 million, and it changed to a loan at the last minute over a technicality with his medical. Imagine if we had spent $3 million on this guy. Imagine that.
It just tells you all you know, Phil, that he's the one that we were trying to spend money on. That just tells you everything you need to know.
It's insane, absolutely insane. Because he gave us absolutely nothing. Again, it was like playing my man down, and just no good game. There was a few moments in extra time where he was like the one option that was available, and you knew even if we gave the ball to him, nothing was going to come of it. A couple of times he was like overlapped and try to get out wide, but no, he just totally ineffective. And it was quite incredible just to actually see him get on the park in this environment of all places after the way Martin O'Neill spoke about him in the last couple of weeks.
He was the victim of that Sterling challenge. I don't know if I said earlier that it was Maida, and Maida was obviously off at this stage. He was the victim of that Sterling challenge, which for me, borderline yellow could have been, and probably the frustration then comes when Hatate gets a yellow within 30 seconds for something that wasn't as bad as the Sterling one. Do you know what I mean? I'm not baying for players to get sent off for soft things, but when you see those two incidents, the Hatate one isn't as bad as the Sterling one, but Sterling gets away with his and Hatate gets a yellow for his.
Yeah, and then the usual trick happens. They make sure they sub him before he gets sent off, just like they did with Diamande as well. Because there was a couple of cases there where
Romans get brought off too. Yeah,
Romans and all, but no, there was the second one that Sterling should have probably copped a booking for. And I think on commentary, Neil Lennon pointed out, says, "Oh, he's on a booking, by the way." Oh, it's just the usual for Don Robertson. A wee sort of telling off, or I'll let you away with one more, but then he was subbed shortly after. But I was glad to see the back of Sterling because I've noticed, and I said this to my dad when I'm watching it, whenever he's played, we haven't had much luck against them. Obviously, Rangers have sussed eventually that Tavernier at right back is a massive victory for us because we seem to get a lot of joy out of him. But I'm struggling to think of times when, we've beat Rangers when Sterling's been playing at right back. It's so I was quite glad to see the back of him. He's definitely more competent in that position. But he was maybe lucky to even stay on the park today, to be honest. But again, they do the usual trick, gets away with it, get him subbed off before he gets sent off. But then, of course, Tavernier did come trotting on, but at that stage, ironically, Maeda wasn't on the park anyway because he's the guy that gets all the joy out of Tavernier. So, yeah, we couldn't really utilise that in extra time neither.
But you've mentioned Tavernier there, and he was involved whenever Rangers took the lead in the 98th minute, swinging in a corner, which Fernandez believed that he had scored the goal and could not believe the look of disbelief on his face whenever Don Robertson told him that it was being disallowed for handball. And he's standing going like this here, like, you've got this wrong. You've got this wrong. So how many times did he hand it? It was at least 2. It might even have been 3. He's attacked it, first of all. He's headed it down onto his hand, I think. Then as it was Negrin tried to clear it and then hits it against his hand again, and he puts it into the net, but he wheels away. Like, how did he believe at any stage that was going to be allowed? Although I feel in Scottish football, every single one of these moments is it has to be scrutinised on its own merits. I thought initially you don't see it, and the cameras just pan to the player wheeling away, and they take into the crowd, and you see all those guys enjoying themselves, and you're just hoping beyond hope. And then when you see it straight away, Lenny lets you know it's a definite handball. And there's absolutely no way in this world that someone's ever going to be allowed. There's no lines to be drawn. There's nothing. It's a clear, clear handball on 2 counts. On 2 counts. I think the first one was bad enough, but the second one was blatant.
Yeah, it's the thing from the actual incident itself. It first of all stood out to me because initially in real time we're like, oh, we conceded. It's a corner at the back post, something that has been one of our big Achilles heel this season. Hearts obviously exploited that at Tynecastle recently. A delivery to the back post. We just seem to go to sleep there. And yeah, it was actually quite a good delivery for the guy that was just obviously having a wee pot shot at there, Tavernier. He does actually deliver a good ball. He's terribly defensively, but he does add a lot for them going forward. Bag puts a good corner there, and we're all at sea, just a scramble at the back. But yeah, when you see the replay, he's jumped up. Initially, his hand is here, I think, and it hits him. Then it goes down, and as he's fallen, his left arm extends out, and it hits him on, the ball bounces off his hand in. And the rules are, accidental or not, you cannot put the ball in the net with your hand. So it's ruled out correctly so. And at that point in time, because since we scored the offside goal, we have just been living dangerously since, and we're still early in extra time at this point, and it's like we are blown out our backsides now. But again, we've played 4 games in 10 days. A lot of players are running to the ground now, and it's like, how are we going to survive the next 20 or so minutes in this extra time? Because they've put one in the net, that'll surely give them a lift here. And at that point, as much as we're terrified of penalty kicks because we are god awful at them, at that point you're like, this is the only way we are going to win. We're going to have to just batten down the hatches and hope either one, a totally lucky counter attack comes and we can snatch this, smash and grab, or if we win it on penalties. And as the clock was bearing down, the conflict of emotions going through me at that point, Terry, I'm so terrified of penalties, but at the same time, I don't see any other way we're going to win this now. So we just need to, it's in the hands of the gods if it comes. We just need to hope for the best, mate.
No, I'm with you, Phil. Like I say, from about 35 minutes in, all I could think about was, do you know what? If we go to penalties, we're probably second favourites. But I genuinely didn't see a way. We were not creating anywhere near enough. See the second half from last week, you could feel the momentum building. There was no momentum build today whatsoever. We couldn't string 2 or 3 passes together. We were just lashing balls up the pitch. And it didn't matter if it was Svanchara or Maeda. We were playing the same way. Now, I get it.
What about the one that John Suter completely misjudged? That was Chavanchara that was running through, and he was never catching that. Butland was off his line really quickly. Like Sinisalo did earlier, he was off his line and just got away.
But you don't see Butland. You don't see Butland coming into the screen because you don't know that he's coming out because where the camera.
Obviously, you sit forward and you see at that point, but I totally forgot. Obviously, Butland's still there, and he's not going to just stand on his goal line the entire time. But he was off his line super quick there. Maeda might have had a better chance of catching that one, but it was quite deep in extra time, if I remember right, too. Even if Maeda was still on the park, I think he would have been a bit gassed at that stage.
Do you know what I'm slightly miffed about? Svanchara came with this reputation of being an absolute speedster. And in that moment, I was kind of thinking, do you know what? If he's got that electric pace, he He might. I'm expecting to see Butland come into the screen here at some point, but until he gets there, this guy's supposed to have a real blast of pace, and we've seen it on his debut where he accelerated in the game against Hearts for a couple of times. But he looked as if he was running through treacle today.
He did. He did.
Really did. As did quite a few, Phil, to be honest.
So they've did 4. Martin O'Neill was very, very clear and stressing that in the post-match interview, saying, "Remember, we've played 4 games in 10 days.
Yeah.
You know, we've came through it." And but yeah, that moment, it did have a sort of callback to Samaras at Ibrox when he went with Alan McGregor from distance, where he's through and McGregor comes running out and he goes round him, sauce into the net. But Vanchara totally forgot about Butland. He just goes running and off the screen, and he gets there. But other than that, I mean, in the second half, it was in extra time, that 30 minutes, the anything for Celtic was few and far between. Other than after that, until James Forrest in the 119th minute. Got to the byline and it went out for a throw-in. Now, there's an interesting thing. Did you see what happened at that throw-in when we went to take it? And the referee just blew for the 120 minutes being up there. And Liam Scales was obviously quite aggravated about it. And it's like, take the throw-in quicker. I mean, I know, really referee sort of by etiquette should kind of let the throw-in play out. But to me, I'm like, look, this is do or die now. And it's like, there's like 10 seconds left of the 30 minutes extra time. Take the throw in quickly, but instead we just meandered over really slowly. And when the whistle went, Scales is still standing with the ball in his hand at the sideline. It's like, get the ball in quicker. We don't take quick enough throw-ins. There was a couple of times, like against Aberdeen through the week, where they were taking a quick throw-in and it was catching us out. And at that stage in the game, like just get the ball quickly and launch it into the box. But I seen Scales was really, really angry about that, and I'm like,
as was Martin O'Neill, who refused to shake hands with the fourth official when the whistle was blown. But I think Phil, what the Celtic folk were basically saying is, in any other game, you get the opportunity to bring the ball back into play again, and then the referee he lets it run and then he blows it. But it didn't happen. There was one other really good chance, Phil, where I made a note. I thought Shermiti should have scored. There was a cross from Tavernier, and it's one of those ones you're expecting the net to ripple, and it's quite a bad miss from him. But we got to penalty kicks. Again, I was thinking that's our best ploy of our best way of getting out of dodge today. I wasn't really thinking too much about who was going to take them. I felt comfortable that Sinisalo might have a big moment in him, albeit he didn't actually save any of them. I was then thinking as well when Liam Scales was doing the toss, and again, I think we lost both tosses. I think the first toss, the coin must have landed on its.
It's stuck in the mud. Inside. The commentator said so. That's why Scales turns around and has a wee chuckle because it's like, have to go out, land it in the mud.
So he's lost the ends. Ends. I actually wasn't too bothered about that.
Yeah,
I thought it might help for Rangers players to be shooting into their own supporters, given the likes of Tav and his propensity for bottling in the most massive of moments. And I thought maybe quite similarly, I can't make that criticism of him. I thought it might actually put more pressure on the Celtic players who've got a really poor penalty record to be shooting in towards their own supporters. So I wasn't too bothered that we lost that one. Probably would have preferred to go first, but the flip of that coin, if you like, is when the Rangers penalty taker goes up and misses the first one. And from then, you've got a really, really strong position, albeit we had the same position, did we not, against Kairat Almaty? Did they not miss their first one? I could be wrong.
Possibly.
There was one that we've lost. There's a shootout that we've lost recently that the other team's player missed the first one and we contrived to balls it up. It might not have been that one, actually.
It could be Kairat, because Aberdeen scored all of theirs in the shootout last year because Schmeichel just kept going the wrong way because he kept going to his weak side because he knew of his shoulder injury and he wouldn't dive that way. So Aberdeen didn't miss any. It was there must have been Kairat.
Yeah, so Tavernier hits the bar. And then first up for Celtic is Oxlade-Chamberlain. Had this thing in my head again. Obviously, he's come in. He's had that magical, euphoric moment where He's got us the points with one brilliant swing of that right boot against Livy. He's looked a class act in a few cameos. He's then got to start against Rangers, and then I think we're back down to earth with him, where he could also be part of the January window of discontent. But I think he's going to be a bit part player. I don't see him starting an awful lot. I think he can still make a really good contribution. But what I had in my head, Phil, when he was coming up was this could be his Ramsey moment with a penalty kick. The Aaron Ramsey when he could have won the Europa League. But thankfully, I'm never a fan of down the middle, but down the middle got the job done. Butland went to the right, and we're one up. And
there was a wee subtle Panenka on that as well. There was a wee dink as well. It wasn't a full-on Panenka, but he did kind of just ease in. And I had that vision in my head that one of our players was going to try a wee dink down the middle. And but yeah, get out of the way early, and hey, when it pays off, it always looks fantastic. Right?
And balls, Phil, shows his experience. He's a guy that's done it at the very top of the game. I'm taking the first one. I'm scoring the first one, and then it's over to you guys. Bayrami then come up for Rangers, and Sinisalo should have saved it. He should have saved this one. And I was thinking at this stage, he's dicking about too much by kicking the post and going to the other post and noising the guy up and off his line. I thought just you're doing an awful lot of things here. Just try and focus on keeping this one out. He guessed right, but the ball goes under him. Next up's Trusty again. Nervy. I was nervy, but it was a brilliant penalty.
I said to my dad, and I don't know if you're the same, Terry, but you're looking at Trusty, the type of player he is, his profile, he's left-footed and all. I just thought he's going to run up and put his laces through this and just power this into the net. Maybe that's what Jack Butland thought. Again, with goalkeepers, they do a bit of homework on players to see what way they normally take penalties, but Trusty never takes penalties. How do you know? But in my mind, he's walking up there, and I said that to my dad, when he's just going to be no finesse to this at all. He'll just bloater this full power. What do I know? What a classy penalty. Just easy as you like. Left foot, side foot into the opposite side. Sends Butland the wrong way. And again, you're like, fair play. It just added to the great game that he had. Because he was fantastic in the 120 minutes. And that was just a wee cherry on top for the end of it there. That was a skillful penalty. Just to send him the wrong way. Cool as you like. No stress at all. And I will find ourselves in a nice wee advantage at that point.
Phil, he's so calamitous for me. I had a totally different vision. I had a vision of him walking up and doing like a slip, like the John Terry one in the Champions League or something. You know what I mean? But listen, fair play to him. He got the job done. Nadiri then come up. He got his. Again, it was right in the corner. If it hadn't been right in the corner, Sinisalo would have saved it. Next up for us is the Tatty. And after last week, you're thinking, Rio, you're not going to get 3 goals at this. This one needs to go in. This was a really good penalty. Really good.
Brilliant. And
a lot of pressure on him, because last week's, although he got the goal, last week's counts as a miss. And in his head, it would have been a miss. Yeah. And he's going up away at the away end. The pressure kick. The third one is when you're picking your 5, Phil, your first man up has to be one that you're really, really confident on. But your third one has to be the absolute nail-on penalty kick. Because if you're behind, that's the one you need to keep you in it. If you're ahead, that's the one you need to keep you ahead and push you on. And Hatayi's penalty was absolutely brilliant.
Best penalty I've seen him hit for us, because his penalties have usually been a bit dodgy up to now. He scored one against Mitchell early in the season that was a bit weak, and obviously last week's one was an absolute farce, but it got there in the end. But yeah, he went the opposite way from last week. Butland dived down to that corner, down to his right, thinking he was going to go the same way again, but there was no doubt at all. And the thing that I loved most of it, Terry, was his wee celebration to the Union Bears at that end, where he just sort of shrugged his shoulders, like, what do you think of that then? I loved that, a wee bit of swagger, a wee bit of bravado. The people have said in the comments, the pressure was probably more on Rangers, that it was down at that end. Yeah. And you said, no, you want that bothered there, because, they were getting more aggravated. But I loved Hatate just going, simple as you like, and it was a class penalty. And at that point now, you're starting to go, by the way, we could do this now, from a moment where you're like, we've got no chance today, and how are we going to pull this out the bag? We're now on the cusp of it. We're almost there.
Yeah, I'll never ever be in this position, Phil, obviously, but if I was to have a penalty kick with either the Celtic fans in front of me or the Rangers fans in front of me, I'd want to take it in front of them all day long. I just would. But anyway, I'll hopefully dream about that one during the night. Next one then, Gassama. And as somebody said in the comments there, it was as high as my fringe. It's probably still travelling and is now probably heading towards Edinburgh or something like that. And at that point, Phil, once he's done that one, you know you've got 2 shots at glory. You've got 3 shots at glory here. You score the next one. If that doesn't happen, you could save the next one, and then you've still got the one after that. We're done and dusted at that time. It's just a case of who's coming next, and it's Thomas Svanchara. I said last week he couldn't score in the back of Bonnie Blues Bang Bus. He didn't have to get into the Bang Bus, but he did score in the blue end of Ibrox and got us through to the next round of the cup. His was really good as well. It was nicely dispatched into the corner. Yeah, and then chaos. I don't know what happens next. I'll probably have to. I'd imagine this story will go on for days and weeks, and I kind of just sat back. Obviously, I was delighted that we won. I was kind of just wanting to focus on the fact that we won, but then, you know, you can see it kind of descends into a bit of a serious situation, and you've got hundreds of Spider-Men. I used to be a fan of Spider-Man when I was a wee boy, but you've just got hundreds of Spider-Men all crawling all over your screen, and there's fireworks getting fired into one end. I mean, my take on it is, right, nobody in the stands should ever be on the pitch.
Yeah, correct.
And like, I also take that, and sometimes we kids run on and stuff and they want selfies and things. I think even that's wrong, because that can, one person getting on can lead to something else getting on, and then you see all sorts of idiots on, and people are getting assaulted. There's fireworks getting set off into the crowds, and my goodness, it just was so unnecessary. I'm not going to sit and say it was all one set of supporters, but I felt my take on it with just what I've seen would be Celtic won the match. Celtic supporters, a few spilled on with goodwill in their minds to celebrate with the players after winning. And then there's a reaction from the other end where they don't want to see that celebration taking place in front of them. And that's probably as much as I really want to say on it.
I really disagree with much of that. I think you're pretty much spot on. Yes, some Celtic fans do spill on, and naturally they, at the other end, are fuming, but they're coming all the way from the Copeland Road end to do what exactly? I mean, the couple of hundred Spider-Men think that, what are you going to do when you get up to 7,500 Celtic fans? What's genuinely your plan here? Have you got something in place for that one? There was a lot of standoff, a lot of that whole hold me back type stuff going on. Like they're acting like the hard man, but they're kind of behind them. We saw it last week with the Rammy at the end with the players. There's a lot of players like, hold me back, you know. It's going on the day. However, the big story is in amongst it all, because it was a lot of just standing off and no really event, but there was an incident where a Rangers fan did run on the park and did physically assault what looks like one of our coaching staff. And that's not the first time one of our coaching staff has been hit by something or someone at the end of a game at Ibrox. Remember when we beat them 2-1 under Ange and something was launched on the park and hit one of our coaches? It was also the same day that a bottle was thrown at Joe Hart. Yes. Yeah, it was indeed. So yeah, even though there was a lot of argy-bargy between both sets of fans and there was quite ugly scenes there was an actual proper incident where a really aggressive-looking, angry Rangers fan who was dragged away by 2 or 3 stewards with proper rage in his eyes. You saw Callum McGregor shouting at him as well. Mm-hmm. Something happened there, and hopefully whatever it is, if he needs to get nailed for that, because it looks like there was some kind of physical assault there on one of our coaches. Yeah. And the sad thing is, every interview after the game just started with about the scenes after the game, rather than the fact that Celtic shithoused their way to a victory. That's what we should be talking about here, you know.
And you seen Svanchara's shirt; it was covered in blood, like, and that's probably from whoever was assaulted. And there is a serious side to this. That, you know, it's very, very dangerous, Phil, when emotions are high and people lose their head. And I suppose all I hope is that everybody who was at the game gets home safe, and that people are out and about tonight and later on, that they're savvy and they've got their wits about them. And it doesn't need to be like this. You can go to the game, you can give 100% as a supporter and shout and sing and do all those things, but once it spills over into physical stuff, it's just wrong, and it's took a wee bit of shine off what was a really gutsy and determined performance from Celtic. And as you say, the first question Martin O'Neill got asked was about that stuff at the end, and even fair play to Sinsalo, he batted that away, and he just said, hold on, we've just won a game of football here. I'm focusing on that. And then you've got fucking dickhead Danny Roll. He didn't see anything. He didn't see him because he was up the tunnel.
That says a lot about him. You know, they just stormed up the tunnel in a huff right away. So did you not even shake Martin O'Neill's hand or nothing? No.
But for the second week in a row, wee Martin finds himself in the middle of the pitch, swinging digs at the end and trying to look after everybody. Like,
wow.
Phil, I hope this doesn't. I think what will happen here is you'll get told you so. No more away fans. Get back to that. Just home fans. I hope that doesn't happen, because that's not right. And I think what you had the whole way through the game with the atmosphere, you could feel it. Even as a TV fan, sitting watching the game, you could feel it. It was good. It was intense. It spilled over, and some people have to probably look at themselves and understand, or try to understand, why they allowed it to spill over, because they're going to ruin this fixture. They're going to take it back to absolutely no away fans, because it's just going to be too hard to manage. I think you've stewards and guys said stewards are just normal guys who are, they're just there because they're probably fans of the club and stuff like that, and they end up having to deal with a really serious situation that hopefully it looks as if between the stewards and the police and Martin O'Neill and Sventara and everybody, they managed to get it under control, which is great. But nobody needs to be involved in that situation. You go to the game, you give it your all, you support your team, and you take it on the chin if you get beat, and you fuck off home and go to bed. It's like me, if we get beat, I just go to bed and let it go and deal with however you feel when you get back up the next morning again. But to run onto the pitch there and start swinging digs and all these Spider-Men trying to start some kind of it's not good, and I hope it doesn't end up with away fans getting completely banned again. But
I don't think it'll go completely banned, Terry. I think it'll go back to just what it's been, the 2,500. Because here's the difference. When we're in that configuration at both stadiums, there's a net that's now put around the away fans at both Ibrox and Celtic Park. But with the full Broomloan, there was no net there at this time. They didn't have one that could stop that from happening, where fans can then get on freely. At least at Celtic Park, we've got that set up. And at Ibrox, we saw it last week. There's a net that's down between the fans, which would maybe hopefully stop players, or stop them from spilling over. But we definitely won't see an instance where it'll be the full away allocation, the 8,000 or 7,500 fans. I don't think we'll ever get back to that. I think it'll just continue on with the 2,500, which, to be fair, is better than nothing, and it's better than the 700 fans that we're offering. Because I am one that's in favour of having bigger away allocations, because I like the atmosphere. I like the needle in the air. As much as, we all hate them, right, with every fibre of our being, right? But I love the fact that this derby is so big, and if we've not got that atmosphere, then to me it takes something away from the game. So I like that bit of animosity in there, bit of needle. So hopefully it doesn't come to the point where they try to make it no away fans. I just think it will just continue back to the 2,000 or so that they've been doing for the last few seasons, and that's what it is. Better than nothing, I suppose.
Corey comes in, Celtic fans were singing Danny Roll at the end. They were as well, but also at the end they were actually singing Penny Arcade or something to the same tune as Penny Arcade at the end, because there was no Rangers fans left, and it was did
you notice the difference in them playing Simply the Best at the start? Did you notice that?
No.
So at Ibrox, they play a modified version of it where they can't put in the ad-libs about what they say about the Pope and the whatnot. But this time they played the full version, and the Rangers fans were getting all that ad-lib in there, I noticed. But I'd imagine Celtic fans were still belting out the chorus, because I love that we're taking the piss at them with that one now, because it's like, you've won one title in the last like 15 years and you're still calling yourself the best. And Celtic have now got a higher trophy count than you. And there's now a chance that Celtic could win a double this season. Of course, there's still a lot of work to do, but it's now there on the table. And it's like, you still get sort of brass neck to be singing that you're the best. But I noticed today they played the full version of the song. And every time it got to specific lines, specific verses, all the Rangers fans were belting that out with every fibre of their being. But no, to say, Celtic fans obviously went with a party atmosphere, and thankfully they could party. But I'll say this, it was a long day for the Celtic fans, because they had to be in at 10 o'clock this morning. Yeah. That was the best part of 6 hours that they were in the other day. And I don't know if that was part of Rangers' mentality. I know the police would also have a say in how early the away fans get in. But I don't know if Rangers had some input thinking, if we bring them in that early, they'll tire themselves out and they won't be a factor. But I thought during the game, I don't know how much you noticed it, Terry, but you didn't hear the Rangers fans that often in the game. I thought the Celtic fans were a lot louder throughout. And I was also really encouraged that a lot of the songs and the chants were just purely about what's on the park. Because, I say the board deserve all the criticism and all this sack the board stuff. Yeah, honestly, like Nichols and that have done a terrible job. But today was about supporting the team. And, I thought the fans did a great job today, even though they'd been in there for the best part of 6 hours. They kept it going. And, there's very few instances where the Rangers fans were louder than them, I felt.
Yeah, I agree with this comment here from Stephen. The fixture's been ruined. The reason the allocations were reduced were because Rangers did not want Celtic supporters celebrating at Ibrox, and that's what happened today. Celtic supporters were celebrating at Ibrox, and you've seen the reaction that brought from Spider-Man and all the rest of the
Spider-Man and the Avengers,
Spider-Man and whoever else that was involved. Phil, do you want to do a wee bit of overtime and just look ahead to next week?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Now we've not got any midweek games. We've actually got a breather now. I'm so happy.
Can you talk for 30 seconds till I get a can?
Aye, of course. Who are we playing next? Motherwell up next, isn't it? That's an interesting one that we have got Motherwell next week, because obviously they lost to Dundee. If you watched on Friday night, me, Johnny and Terry were talking about it, and I was very much under the opinion that Motherwell scooshed Dundee. That's no problem at all. But a few people in the chat, to their credit, yep, what do I know? I am merely a guy that sits here on a podcast. But yeah, Dundee stepped up and took some points off Motherwell there. So maybe that will slow their momentum down. But at the same time, I still think Motherwell are going to have a say in this time. Obviously, they can't win it. I know that Jens Bertolascu, their manager, yesterday was playing down the idea that they ever were title contenders, which I say is probably correct, but I still think they're going to be a dangerous team and they're going to have a say. And yeah, we've got them to come next week to Celtic Park. But I say the crucial thing for us right now is we don't have any midweek games up until, I want to say, is the third last fixture of the season. Second last fixture is normally a midweeker. So that could be crucial for us, because with the amount of injuries we've had mounting up this season, and the way Martin O'Neill's been thrown into the deep end twice to try and implement his plans, he's not really had many full weeks to work with the players on the training ground, him, Maloney and Fozzie. So that could be huge. But I just like I was just saying there, Terry, the viewers, like Motherwell with them losing yesterday. What's that going to do for them? I mean, I still think they'll be a dangerous team. They'll obviously still have their aspirations and what they want to do this season. So we can't just think, oh, that's them lost a game now, that's them going to be easy pickings. They'll still come and look to play their game, and they have legitimately been the best team for what you watch in Scotland this year.
Yeah, 100%, Phil. I'm not sure which post-match it was over the last couple of weeks, but I had looked ahead just over the next few weeks in the league, and what it said was I would not be surprised if Motherwell didn't get the points against Dundee. And the conversation was around Hearts in their next couple of games, and they're away to Killie and away to Livy. I genuinely think they're two very, very difficult games. My thoughts on any game in this league is away from home. It is a really, really difficult fixture to navigate unless you get ahead early and you get ahead by a couple of goals. they're fraught with danger every single away game. Going into that game yesterday, Motherwell, the record they've got against somebody like Dundee, but Dundee got ahead early and Motherwell weren't able to overcome that guy Yugan. I've mentioned him a few times. He's on loan from Brentford the same way as Arthur from us. I've seen him a few times and he looks like a player. But see Hearts going to Killie and going to Livy, they're very, very tough fixtures. And do you know what? See if Hearts go and get full points from both of those and they do end up winning the league, then fair play to them, because they are difficult fixtures. And Motherwell next week, it is a hard one for us, a really hard one. But if we can't get the job done, Phil, at home to Motherwell, we don't deserve to win it. And as much as there's so many moments where you can look back, and I said earlier about the two trusty Reds, and you could cite those as being the moments where we lost it, we still have. It's not completely in our own destiny, but I still think if we win the last 9 games, we win the league.
Yeah.
But we have to go and win every single one of those. And do you know what? If we're not good enough to beat Motherwell at Celtic Park next Sunday, then we don't deserve to win the league.
No, definitely. The next 4 games, Motherwell, then both Dundee clubs back-to-back away, and then we've got St Mirren. So we need to obviously stay within touching distance of Hearts. If not, if we can close the gap or even leapfrog them. But we need to make sure that we can't drop any more points. But see, when we go into these post-split fixtures, Terry, with the way that the top 6 is set up right now, there's a lot of points to be dropped there. Like Hearts, next run of games, even though, there is danger there, but that last 5 games that they're going to be asked to play, Hibs at Easter Road, who will be so determined to stop Hearts from winning the league. That is the worst case scenario for a Hibs fan. Rangers are still very much in the fight, even though we have beat them in the Scottish Cup today. They're still very much in the title race. Motherwell, as I say, and Falkirk, probably the 2 best footballing sides in the country, and then Hearts will need to play us as well. I mean, if Hearts were to come through those 5 games plus the 4 in the run up to the split and do come away, then fair play. They have earned it. They have. But to me, I can't see Hearts getting maximum points from now to the end of the season. And the problem is, I don't know about us getting maximum points as well. It's on such a knife edge right now.
I can't see how we will get maximum. But if Hearts do, Phil, then fair play to them.
They've done it, man. But yeah, we've just got to now treat it like 9 cup finals. The Scottish Cup won't roll around again until after the St Mirren game, the semi-final. That'll be interesting as well. I wonder if we're going to draw Neil Lennon's Dunfermline. Neil Lennon against Martin O'Neill.
Keep him for the final. Keep him for the final.
Keep for the final. Aye, we'll keep it for that one. But that won't be a distraction. And when we do play that, it's going to be a weekend game anyway. And also, there's no other SPL games that get played that day. It'll just purely be Scottish Cup weekends. It's no like we go away and play in the Cup while Hearts and Rangers will play a league game that weekend. It won't be. It's the weekend after St Mirren, which is the last fixture before the split. But yeah, we just have to stay in touch and distance up till then and just find a way. They come back to that expression again. We just have to find a way. And up to now, it's not been pretty to watch. We definitely are not going to roll over teams as much as I would love us to just turn up and just scoosh teams one after the other. It's going to be ugly. We're going to have to grind it out, but we're still hanging in there. As crazy as it sounds, with all the madness that's happened in this season, and it'll be talked about for years to come, I think. But if we somehow pull this off, then my word, it could very well be the best one ever. Like the stuff we've had to come back from this season, if we somehow do this, my word, nobody will give a crap at that point of how we actually did it. Just the fact that we did do it.
I know. Pato, I would much rather have a Veruca than watch him Veruca. Definitely would. Yeah, Phil. So in terms of the Scottish Cup, we go into the semi-final. We won't take that for granted, no matter who it's against. But I do think there's some kind of poetic justice if Martin O'Neill is able to lead out a Celtic side at Hampden in a cup final, which in hindsight he should have done back in December. But for me, see if we do get to the final, and I know there's a game to play before that. Cup final day, it'll not mean a great deal to me if we haven't won the league. It really won't.
Agreed, man. That's it's that feeling like the Helicopter Sunday season where that damp squib against Dundee United on the last day. Neil Lennon had one as well where we lost the league on the last day, and we played Motherwell in the final. And I suppose there was a bit of emotion there because it was Lenny's first trophy as manager, but still, you were still raging that we lost the title the week before in the manner that we did, because we actually lost it at Cali Thistle a couple of weeks before in a game in hand that got rescheduled and rescheduled again and again. And it got played after the split fixtures when Cali Thistle were a bottom half team, and we lost that, and it gave Rangers the advantage. So right now we are in a position, it will feel a bit flat, but I suppose the draw of it being, if it is Martin O'Neill's last game and he can finish on a trophy, but given his first ever spell as Celtic manager ended on losing the league title on the last day and getting a Scottish Cup in a pretty mediocre final, a double for his efforts this season, it would be some story to go out, but the league is the priority. If you give me a choice right now, if you can win one of the trophies, it's got to be the league every day. If the Scottish Cup, if we end up blowing that, but we still win the league title, then so be it. But we're a bit greedy as football fans, aren't we? If there's 2 trophies that to be won, then hey, let's go and try and get both of them, mate.
Phil, I love Martin O'Neill. I read his comments in yesterday's record where he talked about how this, sometimes in his press conferences, he hasn't been very coherent and he's been a bit jittery and a bit all over the place. And I felt that the PC did it for the record was like that yesterday, where he was saying that the Celtic fans have been a wee bit spoiled, and he was talking about how this season there's been a challenge from Rangers and there's been a challenge from Hearts. I don't necessarily think, I think he's missing the point. If Celtic had a normal season, there would not have been a challenge from Rangers and a challenge from Hearts. The reason there's a challenge from Rangers and a challenge from Hearts is because we've been absolutely piss poor from top to bottom of the club. If this was a normal Celtic season, we'd be 20 points clear of both of those, and there would be no challenge from anybody. For him to say this season's different because those teams have stepped up and made a challenge, that's not what's happened here. And that's why anyone looking in from the outside is Celtic fans are going off their heads because there's a challenge from somewhere else and they don't like that. I do. I enjoy the challenge. I embrace the challenge. I love the fact that every single game now means something and there's jeopardy. But the reason Celtic fans are going off their heads is because we've done this. It's our demise that's made it a race. It's not the fact that those other teams have stepped up and pushed the boundaries and improved. It's because we have had shit show after shit show after shit show in terms of recruitment and all of that kind of stuff. The only reason there's a title race is because we've been so bad, not because Hearts have been brilliant and Rangers have been brilliant, because they absolutely haven't. Rangers weren't even there for the first 10 games of the season, and in any other season, Hearts' results would see them in third, but they'd be a distant third. We've just been so bad. And as you say, if we get over the line in this league, as much as it's been a calamity, it's been an episode of faulty towers from the start to the finish. If we get this over the line, for me, this could be one of the sweetest of my whole life.
Oh God, aye. Oh, for a shadow of doubt. It's you're right. We have dragged ourselves down to their level, because I saw a montage on Twitter the other day saying if this had been remedied, we would be about 10 points clear. And it's all the absolute clanger sitters that we've missed this season. If we had a competent goal scorer, as you keep talking about, a 20 goal a season man up top, see the amount of chances we missed. It was this video on Twitter somebody put together, and it was every game from the start, from St Mirren through Kairat, through all the games we've played, all these one-on-one chances that we've missed. And it's like, if we just had a competent striker in front of goal and buried their chances, no danger. Everything in December, is that comment there from Patrick Goldstein, was pointing to we were going to beat Hearts. I know it's all ifs, buts, and maybes now, and it's easy to say, but we were going in again. We were going to beat them. We were on a crest of a wave under Martin O'Neill. A lot of people are reading too much into the last game that he had against Dundee. It was a bit of a slog.
If we got ahead of Hearts, Phil, they'd have crumbled then.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We were on course to go top, and at the time I felt with the way it was going, we'll be topped by Christmas Day. You know, we'll be the Christmas #1 essentially, because it was just the momentum was there. But then we made the decision to go with Wilfred Nancy, and that could still be the thing that cost us at the end of the season. We could look back and go, that 4 games out of 6 league games that he lost, the 12 points that he dropped there could be the difference in the end. That if we hadn't done that, we would have won this league comfortably. Hopefully that's not the case and we can remedy this. It's still there to be won, but my God, we have got a lot of work to do to get there. But we're still there on merit. We're still just hanging in there by the skin of our teeth. And it's now just a case of just keeping on Hearts' tail. Hopefully they can slip up a bit, but we can't afford any more slips now. That's it.
Okay, Phil, that's 15 minutes overtime. You'll be on me. We will sign off. We will sign off now. We've got free midweek. Absolutely brilliant. I think the players need a rest. They really, really do. Let's hope the 2 guys that missed today are able to get back into contention. But next Sunday's massive. It's a home game.
Oh no, wait, Terry, I need to correct you. Next Saturday is massive.
Saturday.
We play before Hearts and we play before Rangers.
Yeah.
A very rare instance where we will play first. Right. Yeah.
You're right. I just get used to all these Sunday games. I just thought we were always Sunday.
But from a mind games point of view, this is good because we get a chance to put some points on the board, hopefully, and it can put the pressure on again. So
it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And there's probably one more big decision that could maybe swing things in our favour, and I think there's some kind of meeting between Brian Wilson and the Green Brigade tomorrow.
Yeah,
I hope events of today don't influence that in any sort of negative way. We need to be united. We need everybody together, and that starts from next Saturday against Motherwell. That's a full Celtic Park with all fans in, all sections in their right places, and we carry on the momentum and the good feeling that's come from today, albeit a game. I think we were second best today. I think Rangers were better than us. I think they played like the home team. I think the home team has to make the game. The home team has to be on the front foot. The home team has to find a way to get it done, and they couldn't do that. And we were able to just hang in there when the chips were down, missing lots of players, very, very tired legs. We got it done by hook or by crook, and that's what it's all about. And there's only one more thing that I need to address here. It's not all night because I promised her I wasn't taking any beer today. So I'm going to get, honestly, if a litre bottle of water here, I'm just going to bang it. And then I'll be doing a straight walk up to the house and she'll not know any different. She won't know any different. And we'll get a wee bit of Netflix. We'll get a bit of Netflix on and everything will be good in the Rob household. Cheers. Thank you, everyone. We were 300 deep there for most of that. Give us a like and a share on the way out. Phil, I will let you play the outro. Thank you very much.
Right, see you later, guys. Cheers.